Yo, 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 yo. Welcome to another episode of the X Factor Sports Podcast, Season 6, Episode 9. Yes, sir. We are in a nice tropical location, somewhere warm, and the show must go on, of course. I'm your host, Jay Mondaine. We are on YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. And you can catch all of the audio of the X Factor Sports Podcast on any place where you can listen to your podcast. Want to thank y'all for tuning in. Special thanks to Spotify, the listeners, the average of 5 stars for the show, 330% increase in 2024. I want to thank y'all for subscribing and listening to the X Factor Sports Podcast on Spotify. So I appreciate that. We got a great show for y'all tonight. It is going to be heavy in football for obvious reasons. We're at that time of year, but we are going to sprinkle in a little bit of NBA. We got to show love to the NBA Cup and the team that won it. So we will tap into that. We got a little bit of college football as well, but we got some huge questions to ask about the NFL in these last 3 weeks of the season. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the layup lines, the quick news, of course. So congratulations to Travis Hunter winning the college football playoff or the college football Heisman Trophy on Saturday, which he was heavily favored. We figured he would. All-American on both sides of the ball, offense and defense. First team on defense, of course. Played over 1,400 snaps in 12 games, which is ridiculous to play that much football in 1 year. He literally played 2 football seasons in one and stayed healthy. So congrats to Travis Hunter. He deserved it. Like I said last week, Ashton Jeanty, if he's in any other season, he would have been a Heisman Trophy winner, but he ran into the year of Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter gets drafted at corner, but I could see him getting some plays on the offensive side. Deion did that back in the day. But because the NFL now is more predicated to offense, I think Travis Hunter will get more of like jet sweeps and, some screen passes, things like that because of his athleticism. So he may get 5 or 6 plays drawn up for him a game, maybe not that many, but I could see Travis Hunter being a first-round draft pick as a cornerback, but getting some plays on offense, depending on the team that he's with. If it's an offensive coordinator, they always got exotic and kind of trick plays, so I can see that happening for him. Also in college, congratulations to Bill Belichick, the UNC head football coach. I told y'all last week the episode was about, is he going to coach in college and is it a chess move? What's going to happen with it? I felt like there were better opportunities in the NFL for Belichick, but to his credit, he stuck with his guns. A 5-hour conversation or interview kind of shows where he's leaning. And then I did some more research on it, and I understand why he took the UNC job. It was bigger than football for him. He loves football, but there's a long lineage, a long story about coaching at the University of North Carolina. His father was an assistant coach in the 50s at UNC. He was a young boy watching his father coach there, probably fell in love with football at UNC because of that. If you listen to Bill Belichick talk football, his favorite players that he talks about, Lawrence Taylor's at the top of the list. So you guessed it, he went to UNC as well. So there's a lot of connections there. And then he can have this full circle moment. Coaching at UNC, he can bring his sons there to coach with him, give them opportunities to kind of cut their teeth and become head coaches someday. So congratulations to not only Bill Belichick and UNC, but the Belichick family, bringing a lineage around full circle. I feel like his sons will do the recruiting, the NIL. They'll get them up to speed on all that because they're younger. They can relate to the younger athlete, and Bill Belichick will teach them football. So hopefully it works out for him. And congrats again to the Belichick family in UNC. New chapter. We'll see how Bill Belichick does in this new college football. All right. Best decision for him. I'm glad he made it. So congrats. Last but not least in college, got to give a special shout out and a congratulations to Michael Vick. Yes, Michael Vick, accepted the Norfolk State head coaching job. Congrats to him. This is the Deion Coach Prime effect. You can see it happening in real time. I couldn't be more happy for Michael Vick going back home to Virginia to take a coaching job, to step out on a limb and actually want to lead young men, especially with his past, all the history that he's had in a negative light in the public. Even though he's a good dude, he had to deal with the dogfighting incident years ago, going to prison, getting out and reshaping his life, his career, got back in the NFL, became an NFL analyst, changed his entire image. You got to give credit to Mike Vick for that. I've been playing fantasy football since Michael Vick was the number one pick in the draft for the Atlanta Falcons. So I am excited to see him stay in football, do something with the youth, some positive. He's continued on this positive trajectory for over a decade now, maybe 15 years or so since all the incidents. But I'm happy to see it, man. I'm proud of Michael Vick. Glad to say I'm a fan of his game, a fan of his football journey. I remember him at Virginia Tech as well, leading them to a national championship when I was a freshman in high school. I remember that. So Mike Vick, his story continues. I'm happy to see it happen. And Norfolk State's getting a good guy and somebody that wants to pour into kids. So congrats to him. And just like the Belichick thing being full circle, the layup lines is full circle. We started with Travis Hunter talking about what a Coach Prime player becoming a Heisman Trophy winner, all the way around to what Coach Prime has done for adult men wanting to get in this coaching arena in college football. So congrats to all of that. All right. NBA. So the NBA Cup finished last night. We got a champion. Congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks on winning in kind of a blowout. The game, the second half, that game was over. Like, the Bucks flipped the script on OKC, who's the team that's known for being the best defensive team. The Bucks holding OKC to only 31 points in the second half, under 35% shooting. And Giannis went crazy, 26, 19, and 10, I think, for a triple-double. Tournament MVP. Congrats to the Milwaukee Bucks on winning the NBA Cup. I do have to admit, last week, if you watched the show or listened to the show, I did say I picked the Knicks to win. I felt like the Knicks were going to be hungry in this one-and-done tournament format. I felt like this was kind of Tibbs' style. But you got to give credit to the Bucks. I also said that teams like the Bucks, OKC, Dallas, like these veteran teams, will use this tournament to kind of build in a playoff setting, kind of sharpen some things up, and it seemed to work for the Bucks. They look like one of the best teams in the NBA after starting off 2-10. They are 12-3 now. Even though this NBA Cup doesn't count for standings, it's still something that brings a veteran team together and they can show they can win at a high level against the best team in the Western Conference, a team that might make it out the West to the finals. So congrats to Giannis, Dame, Doc, Rivers, and the Milwaukee Bucks. It seems like any team that Taurean Prince and Darvin Ham are on, they win the NBA Cup. They are 2 for 2 since this thing started. And hopefully having Darvin Ham on their team isn't an indication of what's going to happen in their season, because we saw what happened to the Lakers last year. So hopefully they didn't celebrate too hard. It sounds like they didn't do the champagne thing. They kind of celebrated light because they got to get back to it. They got Cleveland on Friday. So, again, congrats to Giannis, Milwaukee Bucks, turning their season around. Maybe this is a springboard for them to get things going in the Eastern Conference. All right? So that's what we got for the quick news. So this episode, if you have seen the title or you have anticipated what we're going to talk about, of course, we are going to get into Josh Allen and what he did to the Detroit Lions on Sunday, and what I believe he's done to cement himself as this year's MVP. So the question I ask is, has Josh Allen planted his flag? And I say 100% yes from what he did. So similar to what Lamar did last year in that Dolphins game, when it was kind of up in the air still, like who will win MVP? And then he demolished the Miami Dolphins. Was like, okay, he has planted his flag. And I said it on the episode last year. We were out in Thailand. If you remember, this time of year, we're usually somewhere nice and warm. But even last year, I said in that episode, Lamar Jackson has sealed the deal for MVP. And I think in this performance, despite the defense giving up a bunch of points, the Detroit Lions is still one of the best teams in football. For the Buffalo Bills to go on the road and for Josh Allen to perform like this and make a statement against the top team in the NFC, he has planted his flag as the MVP of the league this year. So, yes, I think he did plant his flag. And look at all of the factors, right? Everybody's going to talk about what Lamar Jackson did this year. If you look at the numbers, touchdown to interception ratio, all these things, right? This is my thing about why Josh Allen is separated from Lamar. Number one, I hate that this is a quarterback award. I keep saying that. If Saquon Barkley broke the scrimmage record, or if he does break this scrimmage record from Eric Dickerson that was set 40 years ago, I believe he deserves it. He will get votes. He'll probably end up getting Offensive Player of the Year if he does it. So I hate that they made it a quarterback award, but it is what it is. And Josh Allen has made himself the MVP. But here's how he separated himself from Lamar, right? Yes, Lamar and the Ravens beat Buffalo in week 4 back in September. But like I said in other episodes, the Ravens are Jekyll and Hyde. Sometimes they look like the best team in football, and then there's other times they look like they probably won't make the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills have been consistent all year, even losing their top 2 wide receivers, Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. Everybody had questions about Buffalo. There was questions if they would even win the division. They won the division 2 weeks ago, so they already locked that up. They have a chance to be the 1 seed in the AFC. They've beat arguably the 2 best teams in football, the Steelers, or not Steelers, I'm sorry, they beat the 49ers in the snow game. The top 2 teams, though, they beat the Chiefs at home, and then they just beat the Lions on the road. In those 2 games where Josh Allen balled out, the Bills have 78 points, over 600 passing yards, 3 touchdowns for Josh Allen. Then he carries the ball 23 times for 123 rushing yards and 3 more touchdowns. This is against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 13-1, and to the Detroit Lions, who are now 12-2, right? So when we talk about big games and showing up, Josh Allen has carried this team to victory, whereas on the other side, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens do not seem to show up in the biggest games, right? The Steelers got him. The Chiefs got him at the beginning of the year. They've dropped some games that they shouldn't drop. So when you look at the storyline of what Josh Allen is doing with this Buffalo Bills team that wasn't supposed to be that good and what they look like now, and he answers the bell in every big game. He is the best player on the field every time he plays, even against Patrick Mahomes, even against Jared Goff. He is the best player on the field. And he's got Buffalo rolling. Even in that shootout against the Rams, he still had a hell of a game. And the MVP is an individual award. The Rams went crazy. So even despite these last 2 weeks, defensively, Buffalo ain't looked great. Josh Allen's been putting on the cape every week, so you got to show him love. When respect is due, you got to show respect to him. So that's why I got Josh Allen. I think this game on Sunday, he cemented his case for being the MVP, and that was a signature win. Now, to close out the season, these last 3 games, he has 2 games against the Patriots and 1 against the Jets. I feel like they can probably run the table. They end up being 14-3, which gives them an opportunity to be a 1 seed in the AFC. After all of this talk about what the Bills can do, I think this is the best chance for Josh Allen to win a Super Bowl. I feel like if he's going to do it, this is probably the year to get it done. This is his best season by far. He's not turning the ball over as much, and his teammates love him. You can tell when he scores touchdowns how much they get excited for him. He's a consummate pro, and he's gotten better and every year, and this is a year where it all crescendos for him into an MVP. So that's what I think. Y'all let me know what y'all think. If Josh Allen has already cemented the MVP, I think he has in Detroit. I think he planted his flag in the Motor City and said, I am the best player in football this year. So congrats to Josh Allen early because I think he's going to win it. All right. Now, again, staying on this football track, like we talked about, there's a lot going on in the NFL. We got 3 more weeks left, and it's going to be a gauntlet for some of these teams. Some teams got 3 games in 11 days starting last week. They got Saturday games and then Christmas in 4 days, which is crazy. I don't know why the NFL does this, but it is already set in stone that these games have to be played. So how should we navigate them? And this is a question I have for everybody. So when it comes to dealing with injuries and dealing with top players, Patrick Mahomes, if you watched the game last week, got a high ankle sprain against the Browns. So now playing on Saturday against the Texans, and then 4 days you got the Steelers, and then January 5th you got the season finale against a division rival in the Denver Broncos who's trying to make the playoffs. So they're going to play everybody. So my question is this. Should the Chiefs sit Patrick Mahomes for this game on Saturday? I absolutely think that they should. I know people are going to be outraged. What are you talking about? You can't sit Patrick Mahomes. We're trying to get this record, this and that. But understand this. The Chiefs have a serious decision to make before Saturday. Do they want to win the battle to lose the war, so to speak, right? The war being a three-peat, getting to a Super Bowl, or do they want to risk messing up Patrick Mahomes, injuring him even further, so then they literally limp into the playoffs? I understand how important it is to have the number 1 seed. And you'll need Patrick Mahomes to win these games to get it and keep pace. You got people nipping at your heels. They're 13-1 and they're winning these games by the skin of their teeth. I get it. But the Chiefs have already proven that they can win on the road in the playoffs. They did it last year. So what's more important? Making sure Patrick Mahomes is healthy or trying to get home field advantage by winning the rest of these games? The Chiefs should absolutely sit Patrick Mahomes on Saturday. He does not need to play against the Houston Texans. If the Chiefs are as good as everybody thinks they are, Carson Wentz should be good enough to beat the Houston Texans at home. As simple as that. I don't see why you need to bring him out there 5-6 days after spraining or getting a high ankle sprain against this Houston defense, which is good, and they attack the quarterback. Mahomes is already leading the league in quarterback hits. So I think it would be best if they sit him down, let Carson Wentz play. It's at home. Let your defense play some stingy defense. Don't let CJ Stroud go crazy and win this game. And then even this, that's the good news. On the bad side, even if they lose this game, it's only 2 losses. You're still a half a game ahead of Buffalo. Even though they won the head-to-head, I know that's what makes people nervous. They won the head-to-head, though. So what you should do is sit Patrick Mahomes. And if the Chiefs lose on Saturday, it is what it is. You still only got 2 losses with 2 to go. But you have Patrick Mahomes rested for a full week and a half going into that Christmas game, as opposed to having him play on a high ankle sprain, re-aggravating his ankle, and then playing 4 days later. So I'm going with that. I don't think the Chiefs' defense is as good as people think it has been, right? Before playing against Jameis Winston, a.k.a. the gift that keeps on giving, the Chiefs only had 10 takeaways this season in 13 games, right? They were not turning teams over. And the offense wasn't really scoring that many points. They only have 30 points in 2, maybe 3 games this year. Yet they are 13-1. So winning is the most important thing. But my question is this. When these coaches sit down and watch these games and they see how this offensive line is struggling as well, and all these hits Mahomes taking. I'm not a big fan of the play calling either, but all these hits that he's taking, is it worth it to wheel him back out there to play on Saturday against a team that gets after the quarterback and risk further injury? And then possibly he's completely hurt against a Steelers team who is trying to win their division and could potentially beat the Chiefs. And then if there's a tiebreaker situation, the Chiefs can go from the 1 seed down to the 3 seed, right? So I feel like, yes, it's a rolling of the dice, but it's a rolling of the dice either way. Do we want a healthy Mahomes against the Steelers on the road? Or do we want to risk him playing at home against the Texans and getting hurt even more? And then we don't have him for the playoffs. So I don't know what those conversations are like in Kansas City, but I'm saying this. Sit Patrick Mahomes. You may lose the battle, but in order to win this war and try to get this three-peat, Patrick Mahomes needs to be healthy. He needs to be as close to 100% as possible going into the playoffs. I would rather have a healthy Mahomes on the road than a Carson Wentz at home because Patrick Mahomes is injured. So I'm pretty sure majority of y'all agree. Some people will have something to say on the side. He's not that hurt. Listen, I've had a high ankle sprain. He has way better medical attention than I had in junior high when I sprained my ankle in 8th grade. But at the same time, he ain't going to be 100% in 6 days. I guarantee you that. And this might be the same ankle he rolls every year. If y'all notice, he rolls his damn ankle every year. So I say that they just take care of the franchise. All right. Be smart about it. Sit him down. I don't think he needs to play Saturday. I think Carson Wentz was damn near an MVP the year the Eagles won the Super Bowl until he got hurt. So he's a capable quarterback. He was a starter in this league. He's a professional. He knows how to play the game. I think that this is a time where you utilize your veteran backup quarterback for one game and let him bring it home. And if he doesn't, you're still a half game ahead at the 1 seed. So it's a matter of what you're willing to gain versus what you're willing to lose, right? I don't think having the 1 seed and being at home is more important than having a healthy quarterback. So that's why I say that. Sit Patrick Mahomes on Saturday. Go ahead and let Carson Wentz do his thing. Let Mahomes rest that ankle, have him ready to go so he ain't got to play on that injured ankle on Saturday and then in 4 days try to play another football game, right? Just don't make sense. He doesn't have enough time. So let him chill this weekend, and then on Christmas Day, he'll be close to 100% ready to go in a must-win game. I'd rather have him healthy in a must-win game than getting hurt in a game on Saturday. All right? So y'all let me know what y'all think. Should Patrick Mahomes sit? Should the Chiefs sit him for this game on Saturday? Should they play him? Is the 1 seed really that important that you're going to risk him? Or should we just go ahead and roll the dice, let Carson Wentz try to get a win for the Chiefs on Saturday? All right? I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the X Factor Sports Podcast, Season 6, Episode 9. Like I said, we are on YouTube and Rumble, and then all of the audio podcast platforms. You can check us out at the X Factor Sports Podcast. All right. So I'm going to throw a quick segment in here, and this is totally unplanned, freestyling, but I'm going to talk about real quick. I'll dive deeper into this as we get closer to it, but I want to talk about the NBA, and I want to talk about this All-Star game, right? They changed the format of this All-Star game. I want y'all to tell me what y'all think about this All-Star game. So here's the format that they're going with. The format of the All-Star game is 3 teams. There's going to be 3 teams of 8, and then it'll be the rising stars, like the rookies and sophomores, like they used to do. There's going to be, so Shaq, Kenny, Charles Barkley, and Candace Parker coaching these 4 teams. And they're going to make it like a tournament style, right? You get the first team to 40 points. It's a semifinal, first team to 40 points, and then they get a championship. What do y'all think of this? It just came out. Y'all probably ain't even seen it yet. But I would like to know what y'all think about this format of the NBA trying to do all these gimmicks for the All-Star game. Kevin Durant already told y'all he don't like it. I'm with him. I don't like it at all either. So I don't like it at all. And it just seems very gimmicky. Like what do we need? What is going on with all of this? It's a sideshow, basically, because they're running out of things to do. So now, yes, the players don't like it because of splitting up the teams. They should just make it East versus West. Yes, it's gimmicky, blah, 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 blah. But it's two sides to this, right? The players forced Adam Silver in the league office's hand to have to create these gimmicks. Why? Because y'all don't play hard no more. If this was a competitive all-star game, they wouldn't have to come up with all this gimmicky shit for fans to watch and be mad about. They already ruined the dunk contest, and now players shooting 200 threes a game and not actually competing has forced the hand of the league office to make all of these gimmicks, right? So to KD, you hate it, so it can be changed and it can be better, but are the players going to play harder? Are the players going to make the game better? You can't blame the businessmen for trying to generate business when the product is sour, right? They can't get rid of the player. It's like any business. If you think of the food industry, right? If somebody don't like regular nacho Doritos, what are Doritos going to do? They're going to bring out Cool Ranch and Spicy Nacho and Flamin' Hot and all these other things to make the business continue to go. So if you don't like this gimmicky stuff, let's shore up the product that's on the court. So I'm not on both sides of the fence. I'm always pro player. But when I heard Kevin Durant say he doesn't like the gimmicks, like, y'all are the reason the gimmicks exist. So how about the Players Association get together and say, look, we don't like this gimmicky stuff, this tournament style, like it's ridiculous. How about we go out and actually play hard so they don't give us these gimmicky games and we can just play East versus West, the best 24 players in the world playing the greatest pickup game like it used to be, right? Now, we got that side of it. Players don't like the gimmicks, but then the players need to play hard so the gimmicks don't exist, right? Now, let's pivot to the other side, right? Because there's another side to this, okay? The reason the players don't like playing as much, and this is what they don't tell you on TV, this is why you come to the X Factor Sports Podcast. The reason the players don't want to play in these games is because all of these obligations they have during All-Star break, right? Leading up to the game on Sunday, all these All-Stars, they have a bunch of charity events they have to go to. They got to do NBA Cares, NBA Africa, all like handing out turkeys, whatever it is. They have a lot of different media obligations leading up to the game on Sunday. Now, I understand doing that for the first time, second time All-Star, but guys like LeBron, who's about to be in his 21st All-Star game, KD finna be in like his 16th, 17th, Steph, those type of veterans, once you get over that 10-year mark, you should not have to do all these media obligations, right? They have to do something all weekend long. They don't get time to rest. Let the young guys do all that with the energy. First time All-Stars, you get the full experience, whatever. Even make it after 5 years, you don't have to do it. My point is this. There's a tug of war going on within the league because the ratings are down. The ratings are down because it's just a bad product. And we've talked about this. But the ratings are down. At the same time, the league is trying to generate more revenue. So they have to make things exciting, hence the NBA Cup. The players don't like this all-star gimmicky stuff. Well, if you play harder in the real game, then the all-star game would have more value to it and people would watch it. But the players don't want to play hard because they're probably tired after doing all of this media obligation stuff. So how do we fix it? Take away some of this media obligation. Why do they need to do all of this stuff before the All-Star game? If y'all want them to come out and play hard and be the game, let them do the media stuff the first day. Kind of like the Super Bowl, how they had the interviews and all that. It's media day. It should be one media day, right? All-Star break. Usually the games for the NBA season end on Thursday. There's always like some straggler doubleheader on TNT, something like that on Thursday night. And then it's All-Star break. Because the Rising Stars play on Friday, usually celebrity game, whatever. Or the Rising Stars is Saturday. Celebrity game Friday, Rising Stars, and then the games on Sunday. How about you do this? No games on Thursday. Make Wednesday the last day for games. All-Stars get in town on Thursday. When the celebrity All-Star game and all that is going on Friday, that be the media day. So now you get all 24 players, media day. You can do the red carpet with the celebrities. And then the All-Stars are gone. Leave them alone, right? If they want to bring their own personal charities in and get some pictures, cool. Galas, whatever. And then the players will be ready to play. Now there's no excuse. The players can't use an excuse of too much media obligation. Now they can go out and play hard and actually have a good product on the court on Sunday. We can eliminate the gimmicks. The fan is happy. The NBA is happy. So I think that is how we solve this, right? Get rid of the gimmicks so the players play hard. And then Adam Silver, eliminate all this media availability and all these charity things. They do charitable events all season. It's supposed to be an all-star break, not a trip. Me and Ms. D talk about that all the time, right? The difference between going on a vacation and going on a trip. A trip is when you go out of town and there's a list of things that you plan to do instead of just relaxing. That feels like a trip to me. A vacation is when you get to go out and chill. You're away from everything. It's relaxing, no stress. You don't have an itinerary to do things all day, every day. The All-Star break doesn't feel like a break to these players. It feels like they're taking a business trip where they have to adhere to all of these NBA obligations, and then they're expected to be ready to play in a game on Sunday night. So there has to be some give and take. I think the Players Association, and they probably are doing this, but you don't hear about this stuff on TV. That's what's happening with the players. I've heard older players that are now retired talk about all this media obligation stuff leading up to the game. They don't want to do it. They're tired, and then they expect to go out and play 20 minutes in an all-star game. Take away some of that, and maybe you get a better product. So y'all let me know what y'all think. NBA gimmicks, how do we get rid of them? Does KD have a point that this doesn't seem right now? Obviously, the All-Star game's in February. We don't know what it looks like yet. But just the idea of a new gimmick instead of just making it traditional, East and West, and let the best players in the world compete for bragging rights to say we're the best, we're on the West, we're the best in the East. I think they should do it like that. All right. Now, glad y'all let me kind of vent for a little bit, switch it up, pivot. It's the first time I've ever pivoted and created a segment in real time for y'all, so I hope y'all appreciated that. We are on YouTube and Rumble every Wednesday night. X Factor Sports Podcast, Season 6, Episode 9. Before we get out of here, though, we always get into that 2-minute warning, and we're going to talk about something real quick. It's kind of adding on to what we talked about last week with accountability, is putting your expectations of yourself over what others expect of you, right? So accountability is all about looking in the mirror, owning up to mistakes, being that person that you want to see other people be. Who are you when no one's looking? So your expectations of yourself should supersede everyone else's. And this kind of plays along with that accountability. What are your expectations of you? Where do you see yourself? My boy Derek, shout out to him. One of his favorite quotes is, be the person that you wish you were when you were younger, or you wish you had when you were younger. That's about expectations. So what expectations have you set for yourself? And what standard have you set for yourself? Those should be higher than anybody else's standards for you or anybody else's expectations. Again, me and Miss D talk about all the time is the standard that we set for ourselves, our relationship, this podcast. My expectations for these things are way higher than anybody else's. And that's why I'm continuing to build this thing up. But you have to have those, because then what are you shooting for? What are you looking forward to? If you're waiting for everybody else's expectations, you're going to be waiting forever. And they're most likely going to be negative. So where does your positive reinforcement come from? Where does your self-esteem come from if you don't have standards and expectations for yourself? So keep that in mind. Make sure that your expectations of yourself are in order and they supersede what anybody else's expectations of you are. And that's how you kind of move forward to success. There's always going to be people talking negative or positive around you anyway. So why not set the table for yourself to have expectations for success? All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. This is Jay Mondaine of the X Factor Sports Podcast. We switched it back up to the current logo. We threw the throwback sweatshirt on last week, but if you're interested in more apparel, you can scan that QR code at the bottom and pre-order. You can go to the X Factor Sports store as well. You see that on the ticker. And don't forget, we are 4 episodes away. All right, we got episode 10, 11, 12. Actually, we're 3 episodes away because it's episode 9. 3 weeks away from the season finale of the X Factor Sports Podcast. I will be airing it live in front of an audience at Bogey's Windy City Pub. Be sure to make sure you are there. Confirm early. You can check it out on my social media and RSVP. Make sure there's enough room for you. Last time we filled up a whole section. So make sure you find out early and get there soon. We will have apparel, hats, shirts, sweatshirts, X Factor Sports Podcast. We will be giving away some apparel with some trivia questions, having a lot of fun. So make sure y'all tune in on all the audio platforms and subscribe on YouTube and Rumble. And we will see y'all next week, episode 10 of the X Factor Sports Podcast, season 6. Episode 9 is over. Thank y'all for tuning in. And look, like I always said, man, next week, we're going to have a great show. It's going to be a Christmas episode. So we're going to have some cool stuff to show y'all, some cool stuff to talk about in that episode. We will be back on the main land. And we're looking forward to y'all tuning in to the X Factor Sports Podcast. This is Jay Mondaine signing out. Peace.